Greetings YouTube. Today I'd like to review the Pathfinder NPC Codex, non-player characters. Now, this is a book which covers all the Pathfinder classes. The core classes, their own new introduced classes, the NPC classes, prestige classes, and all of the Pathfinder iconic characters. All the core classes and all of the introduced characters, the classes, the new ones that like the Oracle and the Mage, things like that, they all get 20 level builds. So you get a build first through 20th. So you get 20 different builds, all of different power levels, different mixes of feat choices, races, iconic and archetypal flavors. And there's a lot of variety here. There really is. They really pushed everything in as far as they could in many different directions to really give you a wide selection of options to use and as examples that you could use for inspiration for your own characters. Now, I'm not a big fan of prestige classes any longer, particularly now that Pathfinder has all the archetypes, which allow you to really customize your character from first level, which is what I think you should be able to do. I think that the prestige class idea had its merits, but the fact that you have to delay becoming what you want to, sometimes for 8, 10, 12 levels, to me, that seems kind of unfair. That's like unfun. But there are certain circumstances under which I think that they still could be usable. For example, the Dragon Disciple. I still think that there are some viable reasons for becoming one. Could fit a very specific type of build. You see your character adopting the power of the dragon. So yeah, I can see that. But none of the other ones out there, I think they're better served by archetypes. That's just me. The NPC classes, like the warrior and the expert and things like that, they get 10 level builds, which I think is fine. So you get 10 different builds, 1 through 10th level. Much less detail, of course. And that's all right as far as I'm concerned, because with the exception of the expert, I don't think any of the NPC classes should ever go above 5th level. I simply wouldn't allow it. After 5th level, you have to go branch off into a real class. You're dedicating enough of your life to something that you're not going to get what you want out of one of these fairly generic NPC classes. I don't believe that there are any 13th level commoners in the world. Experts, maybe, but not commoners. And how can you use this book? Obviously, the title's right there, NPCs. It's the perfect resource for a GM that wants to run Pathfinder and wants to grab a book and flip it open and grab an NPC that they need. You can use the NPCs for encounters. You can use the NPCs to populate villages, or as hirelings, as followers, as droogs of the NPCs, or as members of a party of NPCs out there. You need to flush out the bad guy's thugs and his droogs. There you go. Just change up things here and there and you're all set to go. I think it's also good if you want to have just examples of what kind of characters are available, because as much as I like Pathfinder, there are a daunting number of options. There's just so many things to do and look at and choose from. I frankly find it overwhelming at times. So having this as a resource, I think, will help focus things for you, and you can say, okay, I want this idea. It's 90% of what I want, and then you only have to do the 10% of the legwork. So that's saving you a lot of time and effort. I also think this could be used as good characters for pickup games. You drop by in the local gaming shop, and you just want to play one session, and the GM says, okay, everybody at the table can be 7th level characters. Flip, 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 boom, done. You just play the character out of the book, and you're ready to go. I also think it might be interesting if someone who didn't have a GM around, or no one wants to play GM that night, they just want to do a beer and pretzels night where they do PvP, where they're just doing player versus player. Everybody grabs a 9th level character and they have at it and see who wins. Also, it could be useful for coming up with new tactics. For example, a party knows that Bob the GM really likes using oracles. So, let's run a number of oracles of different levels against a number of different character types, see which ones are good, at taking out Bob the GM's favorite class. And next time Bob the GM throws an oracle at the party, he may be surprised. So I definitely think this is worth your time if you play Pathfinder. I think it's also worth your time if you just play any kind of a fantasy game, because it's inspirational. Even if you're not going to be able to use things directly, you may have to translate. For example, you may see something in here and think, okay, I want to play. I like Radiance, but this is a good concept. How can I translate that into Radiance? Or I like this, it's 3.5. I prefer 3.5. Can I translate this in there? Definitely with the core classes. That shouldn't be difficult at all. And it's going to be more difficult if you're going to play the old school things out there that have a much simpler set of rules. But I still think there could be inspirations out there for anyone who is looking for them. And again, a GM can find the descriptive text in each of these NPCs as inspiration to flesh out his world. Even if he just uses the descriptive text, it saves him from doing some legwork. So he needs a commenter. Flip, 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 boom, there's a commenter. It's got some descriptive text. I can use this, and he can flesh it out as he goes, particularly because as a simpler set of the older rules, it should be easier and faster for him to do this. So I think this is a good product. It's not game-changing. It isn't going to shatter your very concepts of what role-playing games are, but I think it's a useful tool, and I think it can come in very handy to either a GM or a player, particularly higher levels when you may have followers and hirelings and things like that. So I think that if you are a fan of the Pathfinder system and of the whole school of D&D games in general, you could definitely get some use out of this book.